Let me tell you something most people never realize. A trauma is not just something that happened to you, it's something that learned how to run you, and it does it quietly. Trauma doesn't shout, it whispers. It convinces your brain that staying small is staying safe. It rewires your nervous system to believe that comfort is survival, even when comfort is slowly killing your potential. Your brain was designed to protect you. When pain hits hard enough, your brain creates rules, invisible rules. Rule: don't trust, don't try, don't risk, don't feel too much, don't hope. And once those rules are written, your brain enforces them every single day long after the danger is gone. That's how trauma traps you in a loop. Your brain confuses familiar pain with safety. It would rather keep you in what you know than risk the unknown, even if the unknown is where your freedom lies. That's why people stay in toxic relationships. That's why people sabotage success. That's why people stay stuck in patterns they say they hate. The brain says, at least this pain is predictable. And predictable feels safe. But here's the truth: most people never hear the event is over, but the pattern continues because your body still believes it's under threat. Trauma lives in the nervous system, not in logic, not in words. That's why telling yourself to just move on doesn't work. That's why motivation alone isn't enough. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're conditioned. When trauma hits, your brain switches into survival mode.
Fight, flight, freeze,
fawn. And if escape wasn't possible, your system learned to shut down, to numb, to dissociate, to play small. That response saved you once. But now it's costing you everything, because survival mode is not growth mode. In survival mode, your brain scans for danger, not opportunity. It looks for proof that something will go wrong. It interprets neutral situations as threats. A delayed text becomes rejection. A mistake becomes failure. A challenge becomes danger. And every time you hesitate, every time you pull back, every time you abandon yourself, your brain says, see, I protected you, so the loop strengthens. But here's the breakthrough: your brain is plastic, it can change. And the moment you understand why you're stuck, you stop making it mean something is wrong with you. Trauma tricks you into believing the past is still happening, but it's not. The sensations feel real, the fear feels real, but it's memory, not reality. And you don't break free by fighting the fear. You break free by teaching your body a new experience. You don't heal trauma by avoiding discomfort. You heal it by expanding your capacity to feel and stay present, by proving to your nervous system that discomfort is not danger, that uncertainty is not death, that growth is not betrayal of your past. Your brain learned safety through limitation. Now it must learn safety through strength. That happens when you change your state, when you breathe differently, when you move your body, when you interrupt the old pattern before it finishes the loop, when you choose action with fear instead of waiting for fear to disappear. Fear doesn't disappear first. Action comes first. Every time you show up when your brain says hide, you rewrite the code. Every time you speak when your voice shakes, every time you choose growth over comfort, your nervous system updates its definition of safety. And at first, it will resist, because growth feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar once meant unsafe, but repetition builds certainty, and certainty builds confidence, and confidence builds identity. Eventually, your brain stops asking, am I safe? And starts asking, what's possible? This is not about erasing the past. It's about no longer letting it control the present. You don't need to relive trauma to heal it. You need to outgrow it. You need to build a future so compelling that your nervous system realizes it's safer to move forward than to stay stuck. Your trauma is not your destiny. It is a chapter, not the story. It shaped you, but it does not define you. The moment you stop identifying with what hurt you and start identifying with who you are becoming, everything changes. You are not behind. You are not weak. You are not broken. You survived. Now it's time to leave. And living begins the moment you teach your brain a new truth. You are no longer in danger. You are in control, and the future is waiting for you to step into it. Trauma conditions the brain to seek what is familiar, not what is healthy. When pain repeats itself, the nervous system begins to associate predictability with protection. Even if the experience is harmful, the brain prefers it because it knows what comes next. Familiar pain feels controllable, and control feels like safety. This is why people return to environments, relationships, and habits that once hurt them. The brain is not asking, is this good for me? It is asking, do I know how to survive this? Early emotional wounds teach the brain rules about the world. If love once came with fear, the brain learns that intensity equals connection. If expressing needs led to rejection, silence begins to feel safer than honesty. These patterns are not conscious choices. They are automatic responses built through repetition, reinforced by the body, and protected by the nervous system. Over time, the brain builds identity around these responses, turning coping mechanisms into personality traits. Familiarity becomes a comfort zone, even when that zone is filled with anxiety, self-doubt, or emotional pain. The brain resists change because change represents uncertainty, and uncertainty once meant danger. Growth triggers alarms, new opportunities feel threatening, calm feels suspicious, peace feels empty. So the brain pulls you back to what it knows, even if what it knows is suffering. This is how people stay stuck without realizing it. They confuse the absence of chaos with emptiness and mistake calm for boredom. The nervous system hasn't learned how to feel safe without stress, so it recreates it. Not because it wants pain, but because it wants certainty. Until the brain is shown through new experiences that safety can exist without struggle, it will continue to guide behavior toward the familiar, repeating patterns that once helped survival but now quietly limit growth. Survival mode is designed to be temporary, but trauma turns it into a permanent operating system. When the brain detects overwhelming stress, it prioritizes protection over progress. Everything becomes about avoiding danger, minimizing risk, and conserving energy. Even long after the threat has passed, the body continues to behave as if it's still happening. The mind may know the danger is over, but the nervous system doesn't respond to logic. It responds to sensation, memory, and pattern. In survival mode, the brain narrows its focus. Creativity shuts down, curiosity disappears. The ability to plan for the future weakens because the brain is busy managing the present moment. Small challenges feel overwhelming. Neutral situations feel threatening. A single setback is interpreted as proof that something bad is about to happen. The brain constantly scans for danger, and when it finds anything remotely familiar, it reacts as if survival depends on it. This is why people freeze when opportunities appear. Growth requires uncertainty, and uncertainty once meant pain. The body tightens, breathing becomes shallow, and hesitation takes over. The brain believes it is protecting you by slowing you down, by keeping you cautious, by keeping you small. Every avoided risk reinforces the belief that danger was successfully escaped, strengthening the survival response. Over time, survival mode becomes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is capable of expansion and begin seeing yourself as someone who must be careful, guarded, and alert. Rest feels uncomfortable. Joy feels unsafe. Stillness feels wrong. The nervous system has adapted to chaos, so peace feels unfamiliar. Until the body is retrained to recognize safety in the present moment, it will continue reacting to the past, keeping you locked in patterns built for survival instead of growth. The nervous system stores experiences in a way the conscious mind cannot control. Even when memories fade or are pushed aside, the body remembers sensations, emotions, and reactions. A sound, a tone of voice, a facial expression can trigger a response before the mind has time to interpret what's happening. The heart rate changes, muscles tighten, breathing shifts, and the body reacts as if the past has returned. This happens not because the mind is weak, but because the nervous system was designed to keep you alive, not to analyze timelines. Trauma bypasses logic and embeds itself in the body. Words alone cannot undo what was learned through overwhelming experience. This is why insight without action rarely creates change. You can understand exactly why you react a certain way and still feel powerless to stop it. The nervous system operates on pattern and repetition, not intention. It responds to what feels familiar, even when that familiarity is rooted in pain. When the mind wants to forget, the body continues to signal danger. This creates confusion and self-judgment. People begin to blame themselves for reactions they don't understand. They wonder why they feel anxious in safe environments or why they shut down when nothing bad is happening. The body isn't malfunctioning. It is responding to stored information that has not been updated. The nervous system learns through experience, not explanation. Safety must be felt, not just thought. Without new physical and emotional experiences that contradict old patterns, the body keeps replaying the same signals. Until the nervous system is shown that the present moment is different from the past, it will continue to react as if the threat still exists, shaping behavior, choices, an identity based on survival memories rather than current reality. Fear is not something you are born with in its current form. It is something your system learns through experience. When pain is paired with action, the brain records a warning. It links certain behaviors, emotions, or risks with danger, even if the danger is no longer present. Over time, these associations become automatic. The body reacts before the mind can intervene, reinforcing the belief that fear must be avoided at all costs. Trying to think your way out of fear rarely works because fear does not live in thought. It lives in the body. The brain responds to what you do more than what you tell yourself. Every time fear appears and you retreat, the nervous system learns that fear was a valid signal. Avoidance becomes confirmation, the loop strengthens, and fear gains authority over decisions, limiting movement, expression, and possibility. Fear loosens its grip through action, not force. When you move forward while fear is present, the nervous system receives new information. It learns that fear can exist without catastrophe. Small acts of courage interrupt old patterns and begin to rewrite the brain's response. The goal is not to eliminate fear, but to expand your capacity to feel it without being controlled by it. Action does not have to be dramatic to be effective. Consistent, intentional movement in the direction of growth teaches the body that discomfort is survivable. With repetition, fear loses its urgency. The brain starts to update its predictions. What once triggered paralysis becomes manageable. Confidence emerges not from the absence of fear, but from repeated proof that fear does not dictate outcomes, allowing the nervous system to shift from avoidance to engagement and from protection to expansion. Avoidance feels like relief in the moment, but it quietly teaches the brain the wrong lesson. When discomfort appears and you withdraw, the nervous system interprets that retreat as success. It assumes danger was present and that avoidance prevented harm. This reinforces the original fear, making it stronger the next time it shows up. What begins as self-protection slowly becomes self-confinement. Each time something is avoided, the brain narrows the boundaries of what feels safe. Situations, conversations, opportunities, and emotions get labeled as threats, not because they are dangerous, but because they activate unresolved sensations in the body. Over time, life becomes smaller. Choices are made based on fear rather than values. Potential is traded for predictability. The nervous system learns that staying within tight limits equals survival. Avoidance also delays emotional processing. Feelings that are pushed away do not disappear. They stay stored in the body, waiting for another trigger. This creates a cycle where the same emotional reactions repeat, even in different circumstances. The brain believes it is solving the problem by avoiding pain, but in reality it is preventing resolution. The unprocessed experience keeps demanding attention through anxiety, tension, and reactivity. As avoidance becomes habitual, it shapes identity. A person begins to see themselves as someone who cannot handle pressure, conflict, or uncertainty. Confidence erodes not because ability is absent, but because it is never tested. The nervous system never gets the chance to learn that challenge can be survived and mastered. Each avoided experience strengthens the trauma pattern, teaching the brain that fear deserves control and reinforcing the belief that safety only exists within limitation rather than within the individual's capacity to respond. Growth does not begin by eliminating fear. It begins by changing the meaning of safety. Trauma teaches the nervous system that safety comes from control, predictability, and limitation. Strength, risk, and uncertainty get labeled as threats. To move forward, that definition must be challenged. Safety is not the absence of discomfort, it is the presence of capacity. It is knowing that you can feel, adapt, and respond without collapsing. Redefining safety requires the body to experience itself as capable. This happens through deliberate engagement with challenge. When you stay present during discomfort instead of escaping it, the nervous system gathers new evidence, muscles relax faster, breathing stabilizes sooner. The body begins to recognize that intensity does not equal danger. Each regulated experience updates the brain's map of what is survivable. Presence plays a critical role in this shift. Trauma pulls attention into the past or pushes it into anticipation of threat. Presence brings awareness back to the body, to sensation, to what is actually happening now. When the nervous system is anchored in the present, it becomes easier to separate memory from reality. The body learns that the current moment is different, even if it feels similar. Strength-based safety grows through repetition. Each time you choose to stay instead of flee, speak instead of silence, act instead of freeze, the nervous system recalibrates. Safety becomes something internal rather than something dependent on circumstances. Confidence is built somatically, not intellectually. Over time, growth stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like alignment. The nervous system no longer needs to cling to old patterns because it has learned that stability comes from inner resilience rather than external control. Growth begins the moment safety is no longer defined by avoidance, but by the ability to remain present and grounded. Trauma conditions the nervous system to believe that safety exists only in stillness, silence, or control. Strength, expression, and expansion are misinterpreted as threats because they once carried risk. To move forward, the nervous system must experience a new reference point where power and presence coexist without danger. Presence interrupts automatic reactions. When attention is brought into the body, into breath, posture, and sensation, the nervous system slows down enough to reassess. Instead of reacting from memory, it starts responding to what is actually happening. This shift creates space between stimulus and response. In that space, choice becomes possible. The body learns that it can stay connected to itself even when emotions rise or uncertainty appears. Redefining safety through presence means allowing sensation without judgment. Discomfort is no longer something to escape, but something to observe. The nervous system begins to realize that intensity can move through the body without causing harm. Strength develops not from forcing fear away, but from staying engaged while it passes. This engagement builds trust within the system, replacing hypervigilance with self-reliance. As presence deepens, growth stops triggering the same alarms. Challenges are no longer interpreted as immediate threats, but as signals for adaptation. The nervous system becomes flexible instead of rigid. Energy that was once spent on protection becomes available for creativity, connection, and forward movement. Safety transforms from an external condition into an internal state. When safety is grounded in presence, identity shifts. You no longer see yourself as someone who must manage life carefully, but as someone who can meet it fully. The past loses its grip because the body is anchored in now. Growth feels less like danger and more like expansion. The nervous system no longer asks how to avoid pain, but how to engage with life from a place of strength, awareness, and embodied confidence.